Dumelang sanbonani, and greetings. Welcome back to another episode. This is episode 20 of True Crime with Stones Q. This is a continuation of episode 19, but we said it's our first episode of our season 2 of our True Crime in South Africa podcast, which is True Crime with Stones Q. We usually deal with under the radar, underreported, unresolved, unsolved cases and crimes affecting marginalized people, such as hate crimes, especially hate crimes. At times, we do cover the more known cases and hoping that the true crime junkies will still be tuning in. Thank you so much for allowing me to go behind the scenes as I had requested on the previous episode. However, to those who are new here, please do subscribe, please comment, please like, please share, please offer correction or additions so that I can be inspired to continue and let us grow the space here. So I remember that I ended off the episode 19 by saying that what a weird way to find out that someone is your sister. It is now July of 2025 and I still find this truly bizarre. To find out how I felt when, this girl has eyebrows like mine, happened, please check out the previous episode 19, that I will also be linking in the description box, as well as at the end of this episode here. So in today's case, we are going across the country. It's a national case, actually, but we're going to focus more on Gauteng, Free State, as well as KwaZulu-Natal. We mentioned just the other provinces a little bit briefly, other provinces and cities, all right? So today we're giving light to the Olorato Mongale case, a 30-year-old woman who was unalived by a bunch of hooligans under the guise of one of them taking her on a date. This case is still ongoing due to the opening of the Pandora's box of discovering that this is a huge syndicate across cities, across provinces, and one of the suspects still remains at large. At this stage, I don't even know if these are copycat MOs or these hooligans have a conference where they all meet and discuss such loser behavior. Yeah, and as we usually do, content warning. We will be speaking on kidnapping, mugging, unaliving, and in totality, the horrendous act of GBV. And in this case, it ended up in a loss of life. And if this is not your cup of tea, please go check out my other platform, Stone Square Podcast, where we speak on spirituality from the angle of what is commonly known as the African calendar. The second disclaimer, again, let's remember to be kind and respectful in the comment section, as these are real people with real lives, real families, real friends, real acquaintances, real colleagues. And yeah, these are people who are still going through it and probably will be going through it for years to come. So it's like the unhealing but coping kind of wound. And yes, last disclaimer, I think I vented enough on the previous episode, so I'm not expecting this to go left in terms of Ntate Don Ngwenyanene. So yeah, I'm hoping, everything was released in the previous episode that we did. And as we usually do, I like giving a background on the victim, and then we're gonna go into the perpetrators as well. And yes, just expand into the story some more. Olorato Mongale was born to parents Kiabetswe Mongale and Don Ngwenyane, who I refer to as my deadbeat father when I told my story in episode 19. She was born on 14 December 1994 in Bloemfontein in the Free State. She attended CBC, which is the Christian Brothers College in Bloemfontein. And I've always thought that CBC was like a boys' school, but I know actually girlies that went there. But as I was researching this case, I see that historically that was the plan. You know, like how Macaulay House in Johannesburg was first a girls-only school. So, yeah, these are essentially Catholic networks of schools, I could say. So, Olorato went there from grade 1 up until grade 3. Then she moved to Eunice Girls High School, which is a prestigious institution known for academic excellence. So this was between the years of 2004 and 2012. In 2013, after matriculating with flying colors, she moved to Grahamstown to pursue her BA degree in journalism at Rhodes University, where she was also inducted into the Golden Key Honor Society. So for those who know about the Golden Key, you know how much of a big deal it is in the academic field, right? But for those who don't know, we'll just go through it briefly. So Golden Key International Honor Society is the world's largest college honor society for graduate and undergraduate students, and it has strong relationships with over 400 universities around the world. So it's kind of like an open secret society kind of thing, right? But it is basically built on pillars of academia, leadership, and service. And how do you qualify? So members qualify when they are part of the top 15% of their class, right? So they get given access to wide range of rewards, scholarships, travel and studying abroad opportunities, and like much more. So I personally have friends who are part of this open secret society, right? But these are people like who are very smart academically, né? So part of this Golden Key, as well as influence from her mother or works of her mother, and yeah, just the kind of life that she was living, because she was a globetrotter, this young girlie. In 2015, she was involved in an exchange program at Furman University in South Carolina, which further shaped her global outlook on life and just everything holistically. And after she was done with her academia undergrad, Olorato joined the Tiso Black Star Group, which is like a media house, but she worked or was contributing towards the Sowetan publication. So for those who are familiar with Sowetan, we know it's one of the oldest publications. I don't know if it was mainly based on Sowetans back in the day. I'm not too sure, but it's one of the big ones still standing today, you know. And yeah, this is where she got involved in like her advocacy. Well, is it called advocacy? But being involved in such cases, but we'll speak more on this a bit later on the kind of work that she did. And after resigning, she then joined Radio Waves and was part of the Muteo FM family, which is a community radio station in Mangaung in Bloem. And she was a producer / presenter at this community radio stations. She was doing amazing at this radio stations. Like, her colleagues speak so highly of her. They loved her input as well. And it was something that she needed, you know. It was something completely, not even completely different, but somewhat different from what she was doing go Sowetan. You know, I can just imagine how heavy being a journalist is. And then through the connections of her parents, you know, most probably her mother, she served as a commissions officer at the Free State Department of Economic Development and Tourism. And this was between the years of 2020 and 2022. After this, she combined her love of journalism as well as one of her first loves, which was travel, by spending 2 years in South Korea working as a communication specialist for an English education program that they termed Distia. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. If not, it is what it is. She briefly taught as a lecturer at Rosebank College before moving to Johannesburg in 2022 to join Oliver Weyman as a digital marketing and social media associate. By 2024, she then began a master's in ICT policy and regulations at one of the big universities that we have in Johannesburg, which is Wits University. And she was beginning her studies in February 2025 this year. Yeah. Well, she was continuing with her studies in 2025. This year of Feb, right? But already she had made a mark already at this institution, and she was such a remarkable person. And these are reports from people that knew her, you know. So now let us go to the day that she actually went missing. So being an only child to her mother, right? Her father has other children, as we highlighted in episode 19. She would often go home in Bloem to go see mom, and it was here in Bloem where her and mom met Tona these mkulukutus. Ibile habaswabi, they were allegedly hitting on her right in front of her mother, Like, what is happening with you kids of today? Like, we know that was one of the rules. But anyway, these gents thought that it was a good idea. I don't know, win the mom over. I don't know how they even pick their people, because we don't do this. We don't do this to black mothers. No. But anyway, fast forward. She eventually agreed that, okay, let's exchange numbers, and I don't live here. I'm just visiting my mom. Let's meet in Joburg, right? And yeah, so her mom, like, I think at this point she felt with these people, like, they're so not her type, both these guys are not her type. And I think adult her was a nice person, because people really speak highly and well of her, even though we are all human and we have our own little things, And so she was probably like being a nice person and saying that, you know what, why not? Plus, I'm not seeing anybody, and probably wanting to live up to a name of being or personifying love, which is Olorato, right? And Olorato was no stranger to personal safety, not by a margin, She worked extensively in her journalism career there at Soweto, where she was exposed to such gruesome cases, and one would say probably that took a toll on her, and part of the reason why she had to quit, because it was just a lot. Imagine going through these cases day in, day out, and if you're an empath, you also you wear these cases on your being, kind of thing, And she decided, let me just take a break. So she went home for mommy's comfort and chat. I think they were so close, because it is reported that the mom had been struggling in conceiving. So when this child came through, she was such a big blessing, And she decided, let me just recoup, and decided, I'm gonna go bigger on my travel lifestyle. So you see here that this is a person who has, done like these vacations. She's done the short left, she's done the Boma Mpumalanga, she's done serious vacations, Boma Zanzibar, your Greece, Thailand, different parts of Thailand. And one city that I hate so much, no offense people that live there, but I don't like Cape Town. It's such a cold city, and I'm not just talking about the weather, but it's a cold city. But she was an avid traveler. She was a globetrotter. She was, wanderlust, and if you check her social media, her bio on that Chinese app reads as follows: "This is my travel diary, so my future children can see the world through my eyes." So you see that this was a girl with big plans, big future plans, and a hope for a family of her own, with many little Oloratos running around. But hey, alas, ke silawulwa imimoya emibi kule planet le yenu. Earth is the ghetto, guys. Angeke. Now, eventually, on that fateful day, on the 25th of May 2025, Olorato left her Ethel home in Sandton around about 3 p.m. And you could see on the footage that is available on all socials, I guess, but it's available on the social streets. You could see that these gents decided to park in reverse. Guys, like, gents come and pick you up, they hooting at your house. Nenzani, kids of today. Guys, we don't do such things. But anyway, but now there's a bigger reason, right? So probably the front and the back number plates were not the same, because I've literally witnessed this thing when I'll speak more about it, but my quest of, like discovering and finding out about township living, I found myself in a situation where I literally witnessed people like bachencha number plate, because we were crime scene, and I'm like, oh my gosh, was I not scared? So it's quite easy to do that, So it's a huge syndicate. You know who to talk to, who can print out the number plate, say tag, so that is why also the number plates when I did like an official sign, or no, this is legit, this is not, and you'll see these things go the roadblock. But anyway, this VW Polo, it was white in color, it was fitted with a cloned Toyota Hilux number plate reading LT57JGGP. All right. And to those who are true crime junkies, or those who are concerned about stats, you would know that cars like Boma Toyota, We know Toyota as the Japanese car, highly reliable. Apparently, the engine, Quantum can fit in a Yaris and vice versa. So that is why it's like top of the list of these easy to steal cars. Yeah, it's also easy to steal. No, I have a friend who's also got a double cab. She just gifted herself with a double cab, and unfortunately that it got stolen at a place where she grew up in. I think that was the heartbreaking part for her. You know, she was busy with her farming lessons and whatnot, giving back to the community kind of thing. But because the gents did not know that, no, this is her car, they were not on the lookout. That's how crazy the township is, right? That's how crazy the township is. So it was quite heartbreaking. The time that the information came through, like in less than an hour, like this car was ready to be over the border, it was stripped and everything else like that. So Hilux is one of the cars that are top of the food chain of the cars to not buy unless you are, I don't know, you are good in self-defense, I don't know, but easy to steal, easy to hijack, great to hijack, I guess, I don't know, whatever. Olorato, being an advocate for safety, she, together with her friends, as well as with her mom, but this one was an exercise with her friends, that she'll be sharing her live location and giving updates every 30 minutes because she had chosen to, go meet up with John, but she did the safety things, you know, let's meet at a public spot. And remember that John is not his real name, but this is the name that he provided for her. And as a journalist as well, she even vetted the guy, you know, so she did all the safety things and she still could not anticipate the violence that was ahead of her. She was also an advocate against gender-based violence, and she used her voice as well as her words to protect others against such. Yet, she tragically became part of the painful statistics that she fought against. So she was about to leave and she shared her location with her friends. And yes, also apparently had a quick chat with her mother before departure. And the friends were on standby waiting for confirmation. And like after about an hour when nothing was happening, then a little bit of panic set in, right? And I remember when I saw that missing persons that poster, missing persons, and I was like, this is so different, you know. I'd be like, this is so creative, this is something that I'd probably do. And I remember I was reading something like, she's been a little out of sight and we just want to make sure that she's okay. If you've seen her or know anything, please reach out. It's not to cause panic, we just love her and want her home safely, or home safe. And then her name, and then, you know, her she's black, female, dark brown eyes, brown updo braids that you can see in the footage when she's walking towards this white polo, and then the last seen outfit of hers also listed there. So now through investigations, they say that this poor baby, when they're tracking her phone, right, they see that they went through Alex because her handbag, wallet and cell phone were abandoned or thrown out, I guess, go 9th Road in Q. So Q's under the Sandton Metro, right? And her body apparently was discarded, like guys, in Lombardy West. So Lombardy West is also just outside of Alex. Now, let's speak of Alexandra as a township, right? So before I opened up my mind, right, I had this whole notion of, there's other townships that are more dangerous than others. And I had this concept, Alex, I give out your Alex, until a time where I had to experience Alex. And Alex is literally like Kisanton, a street, and then Alexandra kind of thing. So, and this is how most of these townships are built in South Africa, right? I cannot speak for other places because I remember how I used to be so scared of going to Deep Sloot until I had to go to Deep Sloot, right? And this was triggered by a conversation I had recently with a friend where I'm like, outside we got Deep Sloot. She's like, no, kind of thing, right? I'm like, okay, maybe I'm closed-minded, you know, because my experience is Soweto, and I feel like Soweto is relatively safe. Okay, it's not actually. South Africa is not safe, but because it's something familiar for me, I felt it's a bit safer. I felt Mamelodi is safer when I was living with Mamelodi, Soshanguve, at Tresville. But now to hear the horror stories, we actually even covered a story here on this platform. Yeah, one of these people who I used to be so scared, like I would not go to Mamelodi alone because there's this character called Chris Cadalfos, right? And I was like, yo, what if I'm unfortunate? What? But I was like, yeah, I'm probably not his type and stuff like that. And it's so crazy, you know, because with this quest of mine of looking for like such stories, right? It's I think Kibile more open-minded. But let's speak about Alex a little bit. I'll expand more on this a little bit later on. So Alexandra is literally, I feel like the affluent people, or actually how it's designed. The affluent people are spitting in their faces just as much as a deep slurred, more. Yeah, it's the have-nots of like the four ways area kind of situation, you know, Tembisa. And so that is why like, you know, that saying of the poor are going to end up eating the rich kind of situation. I feel this is how it is designed. Maybe it is designed like that because also recently when I went to, what's this place? But it's a place in Soweto. But there's a new mall that got erected, and it's literally like wham bam in the middle of Ashanti town. So Barry, there was a robbery that happened. I heard this from my Uber driver. A robbery that happened. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's also designed. These people are designing these things that way because now they can claim from insurance. But one of the Ackerman's chains got robbed, and yeah. But what about the people that work there? What happens if it's so dire? Because yeah, there's a Zulu saying, "Eti indlala ibangulaga." You know, I forgot how to translate it in English, but basically, you know that whole saying of poverty breeds anger and something, yeah, something like that. But yeah, anyway, that is what happened on that fateful day. You know, her belongings were found, or her body was found by people in that neighborhood, Lombardy, right? Babaleta, the officials. But you can tell that this girlie, she fought. They did not get anything from her except for her soul and her spirit, I guess. But before we go deeper into this, let us quickly profile Lentwela Boya, right? So we start with the primary suspect. His name is Philangenkosi Makhanya. And this guy, like, Otoile on all fronts to live up to his name. So I like saying how African names are affirmations. And this guy, like, he went, like, total opposite. There's nothing Ekanyaya about him. There's nothing we are thankful for of his light. Like, nothing, like, he does not live by God. Like, nothing of him says that he's not Ntwela Boya, Uswelu Boya, Lewanle. But then now also, as I'm researching, right, because let's note that these are, two of these Jains are from KZN, and the place that they're from, there's a high usage of dwellings. If you don't know what dwellings are, please do comment in the comment section and get what dwellings are. And in that area, right, especially with like my journey of life, I've encountered individuals where they would mention stuff like how they also have experiences of, no, I used to do the certain thing, you know, and the certain thing would lead me into criminal activity. Others would be musicians. On some, no, I know different types of dwellings like this and this, and how it's so prominent in the Durban region or South Coast region, but like KwaZulu-Natal, because it's coastal, remember? And if you watching these cartels of dwellings, you know that those are one of the easy ways for these products to come into the country. And to not excuse this behavior, but I'm just saying, this guy literally went against his entire name and surname, like no light, no brightness, no like nothing says to you that you are a good person, right? So he was estimated to be in his late 20s to early 30s. So Ntangas with Olorato, who was 30 at the time of her unaliving, but his official birth date is not publicly disclosed. And I don't know why, because he's not well. But anyway, this guy, right, he got involved in a shooting on the 30th of May with policemen go Amanzimtoti in KwaZulu-Natal. And police there recovered about 30 ID smart cards and on about 20 cell phones, and mostly were iPhone devices, as well as other materials in this Amanzimtoti flat. And yeah, I want us to remember this point, ne? So as much as like reporters and journalists, it's his flat, go Amanzimtoti, I really do highly doubt. I just think like this was like a crime khonji, because one of the ex-girlfriends of one of these guys in the syndicate also spoke about this, ne? And I'll explain why I feel no, it's a crime khonji, this thing. It's not their flat. And then also to note, he had previously been arrested in April in Brakpan, which is the East Rand. So yeah, East Rand Lona is, I remember also when I was also delving into discovering Kasi and all of that, I remember I used to say things like, I have a fan about East Rand kind of situation, right? But they were arrested, go Brakpan, for kidnapping and robbery alongside Bongani Mthimkhulu. We'll speak about him just in a little bit, driving the very same white VW Polo. And they were granted bail before the unaliving of Olorato. So this was not a deterrent for them, so which speaks again to our justice system in this insane country, right? And his parents owned this VW that he used in his crimes, and I'll speak more on these parents of his, right, especially the mother owner wa gagwe. Now let us go into our second perpetrator. His name is Fezile Ngubane from KwaMashu. KwaMashu, if you know KwaZulu-Natal, or if you know that place, you know that it's one of the places where I feel cleansing of the country needs to start in KZN. But historically, a lot of blood was shed and in these places, but you still get like high criminal activity from teenagehood, high criminal activity. You still get high drug use. I can't say that. Okay. So now let us go into our second perpetrator, Fezile Ngubane from KwaMashu. So if you're familiar with KZN, you know that these are one of the places where your tracker was gonna call you, go to you in a dangerous location kind of situation. But I feel like also because we're in such a spiritual war, and we're not even a war. Because we're in such a spiritual war and we are not even aware of it, I feel like we need like some sort of spiritual cleanse. Because I feel like, man, like places like Boma KwaMashu, historically, KwaMashu, Bomlazi, all these places, here in Joburg, you have in the East Rand, Katora's region. I feel we need to cleanse that blood that was spilled, and it's because it's continuing in spilling. And KwaMashu, if you know, Durban or KZN, you know that, dangerous blind, high criminal activity from teenagehood, high hits, that happen, high dwellings usage in those places. And I want to speak about this guy as well. So he's also thought to be in his early 20s. His exact age is also not disclosed. So initially he was identified as a suspect alongside Makhanya, but he was later cleared by the police force because he did not have like a direct involvement in the wrongdoing. However, he was a car washer at a local car wash in the same township that he was from, Makhanya, KwaMashu. And you could tell when you look at his old pictures, you could tell no, this guy, he was promised a future, he did not have a future. So we don't know if it's the dwellings that sort of killed him, because now Asale, the person that he was, you can see he held leadership positions because he's wearing a prefect badge in one of the pictures that they share on the social streets, right? Or in media reports, actually. And it's something that I want us to address. What is it with people? And actually, I'm going to address South Africans, because the minute that guy started speaking, now people wanted to pardon him, before we even got to hear no, he was cleared by the cops. But because he had an accent, people wanted to exonerate him. And you see it in cases, even globally, where a serial something would have a fan base, and here, closest case we can think of is the Thabo Bester and Nandi Pamakutumani case, where because they are conventionally attractive people, They were pardoned, and people wanting reasons and different scenarios, forgetting that this guy was called the Facebook rapist. This guy unalived people. This guy had no regard for people's life, including Nandi Pamakutumani, but by virtue of being attractive, which is how this world, that's why for real, because that is currency of capitalism. You need the looks. When you work in sales, looks would work more for you, right? It's better buying from attractive people. And with us, because of our colonial history, the minute somebody speaks with what we formerly called Model C accent, already like sankiwa serious, versus comrade with my comrade accent, then or I'm from the homeland accent, and then you guys don't take me seriously kind of thing. We need to investigate this thing. What is this perception? But anyway, how he's involved in this case here. So apparently Makhanya stole his ID card, and he used his ID card to register like multiple SIM cards and also to buy like smaller nyana things, idea higher. So his ID was found amongst these 30 smart IDs that were found in this flat, right? Anyway, so that is a Fezile Ngubane, who is not a perpetrator. He was a suspect. Yeah, him will call him a suspect. But I don't know. I'm still a bit, right? I don't know if he did know that. I don't know if his ID was stolen, if he did know what his SIM card was used for, or if he's just one about to Dwellem's head, like I said, it's either we see KD Dwellem's, or he literally lost hope because there's nothing to do as well, and people delve into substances, but anyway, that's him. And then the final one, he's Mkulugutu Bongani Mthimkhulu from Zola Soweto. So if you're like me and you had also conceptions and misconceptions about Zola. Well, it's not misconceptions, actually. Zola has not proven me right, because also, like I'm saying, like with this chasing of information that I'm doing, right? I got to hear a lot of stories of Zola. There's some guy I used to work with. He was saying things like, when these gents, because he was a scholar at that time, or he was working, a corporate job. And these guys who go to these crime scenes, they would come and bring these stolen goods to his home because he's unlikely to be suspected. It was in Zola where there was a time where, while exploring, right, trying to discover guys and all of that, I literally witnessed a sale of a white pill, and I'm like, and it's all normal. It's a hanky dory there. Like, they don't want to even hide it from me, but I had to pretend that I'm not shocked. That, oh no, and I know these things, but I did not know those things, So also, I think how ka Google Zola, you'll see hore. Yeah, historically, even on Kwaito songs, you would hear it. You would hear like even Kwaito artists, babang, they are formally such and such, and. Yeah, so I've never been comfortable, Gozola, but right now, So, while I was compiling this case, obviously I checked like social media, like who these people are, because we're trying to profile these people as well. Understand, right? We're not psychologists or psychiatrists. We're not shrinks. I still have not heard if that's offensive or not. Please do let me know. But yeah, so I checked like on social medias and whatnot. So these two guys, I don't know if they were smart to not have social media and was intentional. They did not want a digital footprint. But the one thing that I could find, Bongani, Facebook, I'm not too sure if that's his exact profile, but Wabona, like it's quite a similar energy kind of situation. But I managed to find something on Twitter. Twitter is such a toxic place now, but back in the day, I used to like Twitter versus Instagram, because Instagram, man, I just felt, I was judgy, let me say I was judgy. It's like, no, it's a place for people who don't have thoughts, right? And Twitter was a place, like was a thought piece kind of place, but right now, it's such a toxic place. Like, how fast does social media, like Twitter, it's nasty. So I found this on Twitter, and I'm gonna share it here as well. But his profile bio would read, I'm from the hardcore streets of Zola South. So I don't know, South, North, Zola 1, Zola 2, like what the difference is, I really don't. When I hear Zola, yeah. And to me, what you see is what you get. I'm success-driven and always on a paper chase. Money over B-word, right? The one that's derogatory for women. And you can tell, like, even in his profile picture, hurrah, this guy, because he's holding, like, stacks of money in that. And, like, that speaks volumes already, Jay. That speaks volumes already. And you see how he also does not revere women at all. He does not rate women, you know. I know we say homies over hoes, homies over hoes, but Wabona, like, this is like thug anthem, you know, money over B-word is, yeah. But anyway, this gent from Zola, he's still on the run, and he's also thought to be in his late 20s, early 30s. No official age is given. And like I'm saying, Hor is not found, but they're suspecting that he might be in Zimbabwe, which is one of our neighboring countries. So along with Makhanya, he's suspected in at least 20 to 22 cases of romantic luring, kidnapping, and robbery of women at malls across different cities, including Midrand, Potchefstroom, Bloemfontein, Nelspruit, Naspoti, Pretoria, Johannesburg, just to name a few, ne? Just to name a few, nje. So that is, that's how big the syndicate is, and we're not even aware of this thing, right? Of how crazy this thing is. So that is the profile, my gents. Anna, so I want us to get into the modus operandi of how this thing works, right? And then we'll get into now the survivors. Authorities believe Olorato's killers operated within a syndicate targeting young women by posing as suitors after mall encounters. These women were lured into the same white VW Polo, robbed and sometimes abducted. Some escaped, often hiding their phones to trigger emergency alerts. So we give thanks for these smartphones at times, ne? But we'll expand more on this one when we go into the survivors of these, or people who are also related to this case here. The Polo was tracked to a panel beta workshop in Phoenix, Durban, leading it to its seizure and forensic analysis that discovered blood traces and stolen property inside. So if you know Phoenix and you are familiar with Phoenix, we know predominantly it's racially it's Indian people that are in more than the other people there, right? Go Phoenix. So I don't know, it just seems like it's a shady dealership, because this guy, when Makhanya got there, he asked if he can borrow a car and whatnot, and if this guy did not say Ibiza emoyen, so basically like alert to this car that you brought here, it's got bloodstains and it's involved in a serious crime. So I think though he had the nerve to go there because it's something that he has done before. So chances are stolen cars are there. Yeah, so maybe buying a second-hand car is never a good idea, ne? Yeah, but anyway, this VW Polo belonged to Philangenkosi's father, who it's reported that he had no idea that this had taken place, but had been warning him on its shady dealings. Now, again, as somebody with experience of various townships and chasing such stories, right? Like I said, we spoke of Chris Godalfo's Yakomamilori. Please check out that episode here on this very platform here. We know that the family is highly aware that you are not walking the straight and narrow. And that is why the mother to Philangenkosi gave him a heads up. Hey, the cops are looking for you. Even in a case where life was taken, like, why Osaswabi me? You're this mother must swaba, guys. This mother must swaba. Because now you're a mother. Like, another mother must experience pain because of your child. But anyway, I guess we can't be global mothers, all of us, ne? Anyway, during the operation Amanzimtoti, authorities raided a flat with suspicious material, multiple cell phones, ID cards, and personal items, suggesting a central base for holding or for processing victims' items. That's why these activities. But let us now go into the survivors of this case. And I want us to start with maybe the ones Bako Bloemfontein. Yeah, then we'll follow up with the others. Ne? So TikTok and YouTube creators under the hashtag Olorato Mongale and hashtag Justice for Olorato shared survivor testimonies. Even pseudonym accounts such as Bo Mary, I think they were called, were coming up with stories, so that is the importance of the highlight, actually, the good side of social media. Had this case not opened or people had not shared their stories, I don't think a lot of things would have been solved, right? So there is a famous YouTuber, a YouTube creator. She goes by Thuli. I can't remember her name, but maybe you guys, if you've been following this case, you've seen her. But she recounts how, like, the near misses with the modus operandi is still causing her some sort of PTSD. She's so anxious, she's extra cautious, and which is something that I highlighted on episode 19 when I was sharing my story, that that you get traumatized by the what ifs more than the actual deeds, and I'm not saying that my case is also similar to this one, but my trauma is still valid kind of situation. You get so traumatized by what is. For the longest, I could not see like two guys walking towards me, even if it's broad daylight and they're just minding their business, but the fact that it's two guys walking there, like, I'm already, my mind is spiraling and stuff like that. One survivor described pressing her phone's alarm and escaping before anything happened, right? So these are the lucky people. So there's other girls. Let's take it a little bit to Bloemfontein now, where now it seems like maybe a branch of the Syndicate, or it's one of their places, because also Studentville, right? Mangaung. And I remember the last time I went to Bloemfontein, I'm like, there's not much to do here. We had options like Boma Capello, Boma, I think it was still in the day study Shisanyama, going to a Shisanyama, but there's not much to do, like, especially like for somebody who are Joburg kind of thing, right? Joburg, Pretoria, or Gauteng, let me say Gauteng. But right now, at the current juncture of my age and my life, it would be something that I appreciate. But because it's weirdly colonized, I don't F's with it anymore. But anyway, there's a girl who also shared her story where she says that, no, these are the guys that she met at one of the malls in Bloemfontein, right? And this girl's like, no thanks. This guy's like, no, it's just lunch, because they need to convince you as well. And this girl's on some, no. And then this guy convinces her on some, no, listen, no, bring a friend so that you are feeling at ease, right? But this did not help in any way, because these two were still taken to a dingy place in Bochabela in Bloemfontein. So it's one of the townships in Bloem. But what Bloem, but go Bloem. So like, girls shared like so many stories. So I just want to speak about two other girls here now. We'll name one girl Ayanda and the other one Meloguhle, all right? And so Ayanda says now, so I'm gonna transcribe her story now. So she shared this on news platforms, so I'm just gonna transcribe and just summarize what she was basically saying. But she says the thing that made her pay like attention more to this Olorato case was because she heard this interview, one of these guys, and she's like, oh my gosh, I know this voice, and she also comments on how, like, this guy is a master manipulator, right? And so she was in a romantic relationship with this guy. Let's give him a name. Let's call him Mandla. So Mandla, even on these news reports, he asked to not be identified. I don't know how far that case went, but siyabonga, KZN team, Ndatem Kwanazi, you have done wonders. July was amazing because of you and your team. But anyway, we'll get into that. So Tatem Kwanazi was the one who was leading this case here, or he leads cases in KZN. I'm not too sure what his exact jurisdiction allows him to do, right? But anyway, she says she was in a 5-month relationship with this Mandla character. And she obviously is like, no, it's not just the voice that she knows. Like, there's a lot more that she knows, right? And she says, like, with these witnesses that are sharing their stories, she was able to identify and affirm that, you know what, this guy, he's involved in the so-called romantic dating scam, right? So from her words, she says how the scam works is that the scammers pretend to like you or fall in love with you as a young working woman, and where they search is Instagram, right? Because we know Instagram is a place where I spoke earlier on, or was a picture of faces, ne? Not faces, of pictures, a place where people share pictures, their lifestyle. Some even get depressed because they see lifestyle that somebody else is living. But some people are pushing fake lives, and then you get depressed over somebody's fake life kind of situation. But yeah, Instagram, people push like the affluent lifestyle, or just, yeah, it's just a picture and video kind of like short little clips called reels, kind of situation. So, yeah, I'm going to share one of the stories that one of these girls here, right? And yeah, once the girls agree that, okay, no, it's fine, let's go on a date, baba kidnapper, and they rob them of their cell phones, and particularly the iPhone. So they know, Guti, disable your biometrics, go into your banking apps, this, that. And then they also give you like some sort of script, you know, call this person, demand 2,000 Rand kind of situation. And you have to follow that same script. So Ayanda says that, yeah, the first time she went to Amanzimtoti for the first time, this guy, Amandla, comes back into the house, and with him, he had like a lot of iPhones on him, and he took some, like from this batch, he took some of them with him, and he's like, no, I'll be back. And she was like, yo, she was wondering, Guti, like, what happens to these iPhones? And because of this area and because of the industry that I work in, I know where these phones, you know, oh no, I picked up a phone or I stole a phone. Hey, where can I unblock this phone? So in Joburg, there's a place where Visa Priya Makalati, and this is where majority of the people that are there would be Nigerian nationals, and the people that also help with this is the Pakistani nationals. And not to discriminate anybody, this is just a via experience. We call them nationals, but they're within. Yeah, but lang understand, ne? And yeah, so I don't know what links, but Leona, this unblocking of iPhones is a big syndicate kind of situation, ne? But anyway, maybe Narinka go, but she says like there was a huge box saying like there were brand new phones and stuff like that. And we know that with iPhones, in Apple ID, but guys, I get brand new iPhones, ne? #Congo, ne? But anyway, there's another victim, ne? I said we're gonna call her Meloguhle. So Meloguhle le Ayanda, they say yes. It wasn't the VW Polo that they got to experience these things with, but it was a red Beijing car, ne? So Meloguhle, she wasn't sure about the make of the car, but she was like, a Chinese car, it's a Beijing or whatever it is. But this is now on news reports, I get. So she says, now Ayanda says that this guy came into the city, meaning Joburg, and he said he wanted to buy a car. And yeah, so you see, Guti, like, man, if this guy can just come and buy a car, like, you won't think shady things about him, right? Well, primarily, that's not going to be your first thought to go to, no, this guy is a shady guy. But anyway, she says that they went to Midrand and then they bought the car. And Meloguhle will go into a story now. Just want to finish here, Ayanda, quickly. So she says, Ayanda, there was a time where she witnessed that this Beijing, the Beijing guy, Mandla, yes, was bribing police officers to release a bloodstained vehicle of one of his close friends, whose name is only known to the people who are handling this case, ne? But it was in the East Rand, Ekurleni. And I remember I said, growing up, I used to say things like, yo, abafana base East Rand, because most of them are like in white collar crime situations and never bana hanele kind of thing, right? Like during the week, like. But anyway, and I'm not just speaking about Davidson, but she says that they would have to use fake names when they are in these scams here, right? So it was another thing where she would question, good time, man, is this guy even legit? Is this his name? Are you really man? That kind of thing. So after this guy pays this bribe, the car got released, and then they went to go clean this car of these blood stains. So Ayanda also, because she saw also Lee story sa Meloguhle first, ne? About confirm hore no, these gens also work with other women when they're committing these crimes. So Meloguhle spoke about, Yona, this man driving a Beijing who came pick her up for their date, and Nazama with another woman, and he said, no, this is my younger sister, and he was saying things like, no, I don't go to areas I don't know without somebody accompanying me and stuff like that. And Ayanda mentioned also a particular woman, right? And she's like, yeah, he's always with this girl and whatnot. And while I was saying that, sorry, let me finish, Ayanda. About it, I was always with this girl, like everywhere they go, this girl's gonna be there, like even when they go rob women. And with Melogusha's story, she says like when these guys were robbing her, and that's why I get it, like such loser behavior. And sorry, my gents, but can I just say this? Because most guys operate from a point of putting their value towards their monetary, so their value equates to their monetary value. So before the guy gets money, you'll speak verses from the broke nigga's Bible, women are gold diggers, women this is that, women this, women that, I'm a weave, I'm a eyelash, BBL, what. But the minute that the financial situation changes, we would see, in more than one case, we would see numerous cases, we would see how now guys even change the kind of women that they approach now that they have money. I remember in first year when this guy was saying to me that, I got a bursary, now I've got money, so you can date me. I'm like, how Bafit? Okay. So there's also sayings, because we're in KZN, we'll just use a saying that says, and now in common days it says, so meaning that the more money you have, the more attractive you are as indoda. You can be the most nastiest looking of people and creatures, but if you have money, you're good, right? And I think this perpetuated another cultures that we are finding ourselves in, right? But anyway, so I'm just lamenting on that you guys only speak up on that because at the current juncture, your financial situation does not allow you, and how you see also in these Dubai poop circles, the power, the money sort of gives them this power, and treat women in a particular way. But anyway, so this guy says to her, I'm going to teach you a lesson to Meloguhle. I'm going to teach you a lesson today. You don't go out with strangers. And this is like across different girls who gave this report. You don't go out with strangers. You're busy using men for money. You're eating men's money. What. And this girl had to say, no, I work a 9 to 5, what. Because girlies are doing it for themselves, guys. I don't think there's, women, especially who are, I don't think there's a lot of women, I think it's a misconception that, women are slay queens, what. And also you don't have a right. If somebody has a certain type of person that she dates, if a girl or a boy says they only date for money, you need to allow people to do what they want to do, so it seems like they're speaking from a place of bitterness, or they tried getting with certain women and these women rejected them kind of situation. But anyway, so Ayanda says that she started seeing like these shady things that were happening, things that were not making sense, and she'd always like ask questions and ask for clarity, and this guy like would be so persistent and insist that I'm not involved in these things that my friends do. But birds of a feather flock together, let me tell you that, especially with James, birds of a feather flock together. So she still highly believes that this red Beijing car guy, Mandla, is the one that unalived Olorato. And I feel that, he's probably like the mastermind or something like that, because now this shootout happened with the police, right? And he's the one that's interviewed, and he's the last person to see Makhanya alive, ne? So when he's giving reports and asking to say, no, please don't share this with media and whatnot. So he was basically saying things like, no, this guy came and borrowed a car. Why would this guy come borrow a car if you guys enjoy that habit? I know guys like borrowing each other cars. I have a friend, actually, he was wrongfully incarcerated for stylists of James borrowing each other cars. Okay, I know I also do it, ne? With my girls. where I'd borrow a car. But it's such a dangerous practice, actually. Yeah, I'm stopping. It's such a dangerous practice because anything can happen, right? Especially when you know with my friends are people of such a nature. So what had happened was, I'm just gonna quickly share my friend's story. So he exchanged cars with a friend. His friend was one of these gents, the gents who work at night, who work at work, right? Abon Pandis. And he gets unalived at that crime scene, the guy he borrowed the car to. But now, because on the crime scene, the number plate Ridama, my friend. So that's how he served 13 years of his life aside anything, right, as an innocent man. But he says, I'd ask him, and he says no, like given a do-over, he'd still want that part of his life, because that was the only thing that kind of sobered him up, because it was going downhill, because he worked in a big corporate place where like money was not a problem at all. He says he used to buy like different kinds of cheeses. He'd spend like, this is like early 90s probably, he'd spend like close to 3K on cheese, But anyway, I digress, comrades. But anyway, so this guy says, so Mandla says that Makhanya came to him, Philangenkosi came to him and says, no, he needs to borrow a car, and he was frazzled and stuff. And then he said to him, no, dude, I think you should hand yourself to the police. I can't accompany you. Why can't you accompany me? Because kingpin wena. But he's saying that he can't go with him there. He must go hand himself over. So then Makhanya, was saying to him that, no, please give this message to my mom. And he says that he asked for prayers. Can they pray? Which is my other issue with this Abrahamic religion, Uguti. That's why like Christianity makes me mad. Like it makes me really mad. And yeah, Christianity makes me mad because you can literally unalive, you can do the most horrendous of crimes, but the doctrine teaches you that just before you cross over there, you can say, I accept you as my Lord and Savior, and you say, forgive me for my sins, and then you cross over. That's why heaven's gonna be heaven's gonna be wild, I'm good with that, Clearly there's gonna be rapists there's gonna be murderers there, this is heaven, a place like that. But this is one of my gripes and one of the issues that I address on my other space, right? More where we're speaking of these colonial tools, and I'm not taking away from how it managed to morality in a little bit, but it sort of left us brain dead. And no offense, guys, offended. But anyway, yeah, so it says, this guy asked for prayers, and it's so fascinating, including this guy who ran away from the country here, that brother, now that you are Batin, you are being you're supposed to pay for your crimes. Now you wanna pray. Now you want to run away. But that is basically what happened. And I remember the things that are noted about this case, right, where I was just drawing similarities because I was still in shock. Oh my gosh, what a crazy way to find your sister. I remember the mother, in I think at the memorial, she was saying something like that she fought until her nails broke off and how she never begged for mercy, right? And that just triggered this memory that my cousin said to me when I was a victim of such a crime. He goes, oh, Mo, you fought, you're such a fighter. So like drawing those similarities, the eyebrows, the like how she looks like she did not even comply to the system, but how she was just an outlier in a way, very lovable as well. And like I said, I think she would have loved having an older sister like me, not that I think I'm the coolest, but I'm on that spectrum a little bit, And what's another thing as well? Yes, her tombstone as well, where she did not want a tombstone but wanted a tree planted in her honor. So which is something that I've always wanted, I even have like a whole funeral program, and just so it's out there, like, yeah, for me there's no murutis, yeah. So I think that would have probably been our clashes. I'm not religious at all, but I don't want murutis at my funeral. I don't want that theatrical situation. No, I don't want such a thing. But I think we are at the end of our our case, and it is an ongoing case since this other suspect is still missing. But I'll call him a perpetrator. Because Kintwela Boya, and some things don't even need hard evidence, but your guidance, your guidance, your guidance will tell you. And these guys have different pseudonyms. Bochon, Bomhlengi, like the girls Baba Bloom, who were coerced on going on this date experienced. There's different names, so that is why also it's so hard to pin them down. But because they were involved in other crimes, then it was a little bit easier, right? And people that are involved now, it's like anti-kidnapping task teams and Tatem Kwanazi's task team yakake. And it's really sad that he's retiring, but he left us with open doors. We're hoping that a lot will come out from this and people will be held accountable all the way up to high management there, And so the profiles of Makhanya, Ngubane, and Mthimkhulu depict how sophisticated this criminal network of romantic luring is, the use of cloned number plates, coordinated operations across multiple provinces, the multiple IDs, SIM cards, phones and flats. And, I still am reeling at the fact that had these people not been given bail, right, and how they linked to so many cases, but they still roaming around as free people, speaks to justice system yarona and keeps us so vulnerable as women. It's really, really heartbreaking that we always need an unfortunate occurrence to take place before we realize that there's so many unreported and shunned cases, and people losing lives could have been easily prevented if the people in blue acted right to begin with. That's why Nakiba Bitsa is slave hunter, because they're operating how they are supposed to operate. But you'll understand better if you watch the concentration camp on my channel, Stone Square Podcast. And right now, I guess one has to live in, I hope I'm not the next one. I hope I'm not the next one, because clearly you'll be minding your own business, going for a jog. You'll be minding your business, going to the post office, going to wherever you are, Abasakate much. They don't care. You go on a date during the day. You go on a date in they don't care. In church or they don't care. But we have come at the end of our case. I hope I was able to tell it well, and I wish healing on the friends, on the family, especially the mother. I think that's the worst thing to have experienced as a parent, So I hope eventually a healing or a better coping would happen. I hope for justice to take place. I hope, I hope she fights this baby. I really hope she fights. Like I said when I was highlighting on my spiritual journey, this tie that we have via the DNA link, I'm like, maybe our people fight in that way. But like I said, that's it's probably my maternal, I don't know, but may she continue fighting. You could see also how her case was so expedited, that maybe spiritually she's also there. But I wish healing, I wish light, I wish better days, for everybody who is affected by this case. Please do join us for episode 21 when we do our once a month episode. Thank you for tuning in. Please please subscribe, please engage in the comment section. Thank you so much for showing up. And we are.